Hello and welcome to the Technical Museum in Sinsheim. First, let me introduce it. You can already see some airplanes behind me. Since the 6th of May 1981, this museum gives pleasure to machine lovers on the area of 5,000 square meters. So, it is a lot of pleasure. One can find here a really wide range of means of transport. Cars, motorbikes, military machinery, steam engines, bicycles, airplanes, tractors and other machinery. In 1999, the museum gained a supersonic aircraft, the Tupolev Tu-144, and in 2003 the Concorde as well. Only here one can see both supersonic airplanes together. They are mounted on the roof, so from far away they entice visitors under their wings. Right behind the turnstiles, the visitors are welcomed by an exhibition of American cars. Here we can see the dragsters. This first one is the Dakota. The engine has 5,500 horsepower. Top speed is over 480 km per hour. Nitromethane was used as fuel. Rico Antes established the German speed record with this car in 2001 and later a European record as well, covering a quarter mile within 4.92 seconds. Next to it there is the Victor from 2001 with 6,500 horsepower and top speed 490 km per hour. And finally we have a Mercedes funny car with 2,000 horsepower. The engine is a supercharged V8. The body is a copy of a Mercedes coupe from fiberglass. Next to the dragsters, a Chevrolet truck from 1946 is situated. The engine has 5.7 liters and 300 horsepower. Behind it there is a vertically arranged collection of American cars. For example, the fourth one from below in the left column is the Buick Series 41 from 1953 with 4.3 liters and 129 horsepower, which was the cheapest model. A four-door sedan with the typical faked lateral air intakes, referred to as portholes. Here one can see the difference between a hot rod and red rod. This is a Ford Model A from 1930. The engine is a V8 Chevrolet with 5.7 liters and 300 horsepower. Model A followed the famous Model T and was also produced in Europe, South America and, under license, in the Soviet Union. The conversion was completed in Texas in 2014. And this is a Model A from 1930 again. The engine, non-original, is a flathead V8. It has got 3.3 liters and 98 horsepower. It is in the modification red rod, whose purpose is to give the car a minimalistic and rough appearance. Moving on, we can enjoy a flood of cars, which I would call classic American. The cameraman calls them jalopies. I had to make a real effort to persuade him so that he would film them. A jar of the pre-workout Furious Clown from Smart Labs did the trick, as he likes it. So the first one is the legend Ford Mustang. This one is from 1970 with a 6-cylinder engine which has got 4.9 liters and 220 horsepower. Mustang was the forerunner of the so-called pony car class, whose main design features were a long bonnet and a short rear. Here is the Pontiac Chieftain from 1957. It has a V8, 5.7 liters and 252 horsepower. Behind it there are two Cadillacs Eldorado, a white one and a red one. and between them there is the Ford Thunderbird, all with V8. The white Cadillac is from 1958, with 6 liters and 314 horsepower. The red one is from 1959. It has 6.4 liters and 350 horsepower. This car already had air conditioning, automatic transmission, power-assisted steering and brakes, electric adjustable mirrors and seats, and much more. The pink one in the middle is the Ford Thunderbird from 1958 with 5.8 liters and 300 horsepower. There is another Ford Thunderbird from 1955. It has got 5 liters and 248 horsepower. When the Ford Motor Company was looking for an illustrious name for their new sports car, they found it in the mythology of the Native Americans. The Thunderbird was an angry herald of the gods. As a matter of interest, during the first year Ford sold 16,155 of them, while Chevrolet sold only 674 Corvettes. Customers who wanted a phony sports car did not want to forego comfort and rich equipment. Moving on, here we have got the Chevrolet Nova from 1973 with V8, 5.7 liters and just 177 horsepower. It was a middle-class car. And here we have got the Corvettes, all with V8. It started with the model C1. This one is from 1956 with 4.3 liters and 250 horsepower. It is followed by the model C3 Stingray, which was the designation used between 1969 and 1976. This one is from 1969 with 7.4 liters and 435 horsepower. Another C3 from 1978 with 5.7 liters and 185 horsepower. The model C3 was produced from 1967 till 1982. The yellow Corvette is the C4 from 1986 with 5.7 liters and 235 horsepower. It was produced between 1984 and 1996. Compared to the C3, the C4 is considerably flatter. The violet one is the C5 from 1998 with 5.7 liters and 345 horsepower. This yellow Corvette is the C6 Z06 from 2007 with a 7-liter engine and 590 horsepower. In the white color, the C7 Z06 from 2018 is here. It has got a 6.2-liter engine with 720 horsepower. This special edition was introduced on occasion of the 65th anniversary of the first Corvette. Only 650 of them were produced. This Cadillac is the XLR type from 2004. The engine, V8, has got 4.6 liters and 326 horsepower. It was produced between 2003 and 2009. Now we have got in front of us the Ford GT from 2005 with 5.4 liters and 541 horsepower. This reissue of the Ford GT40, which was built for the Le Mans race in the second half of the 60s, was produced between 2004 and 2006. Next to it, there is the Dodge Viper RT10 from 1993, thus from the first generation of this car. It has got a V10 8-liter engine with 394 horsepower. This car was produced from 1992 to 2017. Here we can see a car which is well known from American films with car chases with the police. The Ford Galaxy 500 from 1968. His V8 has got 6.4 liters and 325 horsepower. And in closing, we have got a DeLorean sports car. It became famous due to its appearance in the film trilogy Back to the Future, where it was adapted for time travels. This car was made in 1981. It has a 2.8-liter engine and 132 horsepower. It was adjusted in order to look like the car in the film. We are in the second exhibition hall now. The oldest specimen of Mercedes in the museum is the Benz patent Motorwagen Model 1 from 1886. It had one-cylinder, 0.954 liters and 0.75 horsepower. The top speed was 16 km per hour and the fuel consumption was 10 liters per 100 kilometers. This exhibit is a replica of the first car in the world. The Mercedes Simplex from 1909 belongs to the older ones. It had a 4-cylinder engine with 5.3 liters and 35 horsepower. It was very influential for the car as we know it today. It was the first car with the engine in the front and with a rear-wheel drive, with a radiator, pedals and a steering wheel. This Mercedes-Benz 130 from 1934 was a real flop. It had a 1.3-liter engine with 26 horsepower. The engine was placed in the rear and the car was difficult to control in bends. Moreover, the engine often overheated. They have got a wine-colored Mercedes-Benz 190 SL from 1958 here. It has got a hardtop, a 4-cylinder engine with 1.9 liters and 105 horsepower. Letters SL mean sporty light, and this is one of the followers. The 280 SL from 1970. It had 2.7 liters and 170 horsepower. Here is one famous Mercedes. It is the Type G4 from 1938. It had an 8-cylinder engine with 5.4 liters and 110 horsepower. Only 72 vehicles were produced between 1933 and 1939. Originally, it was built for the Army General Staff, but most of them were used for the leaders of the Third Reich. There are of course much more cars made by Mercedes. If you are fans of this brand, you can spend hours here. We will devote a separate video to it. It will be from the Mercedes-Benz Museum in Stuttgart. This Maybach SW38 was produced in 1938 and it is the penultimate model of Maybach. It has got a 6-cylinder engine with 3.8 liters and 140 horsepower. Now we will look at Rolls-Royce. First, the Silver Ghost from 1921 with a 6-cylinder engine and 7.4 liters. This particular car was built for the Maharaja Sahib of Navanagar. Next to it, there is the Phantom II from 1934. His 6-cylinder engine has got 7.7 liters. This is the Bentley T Saloon from 1973 with V8, 6.7 liters and top speed of 190 km per hour. It is actually a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow with the mask of Bentley. There is the Ferrari 342 America from 1953. It has got 12 cylinders, like the others displayed here, 4.1 liters and 240 horsepower. This car was the start of the cooperation with the studio Pininfarina. It is the first Ferrari developed for roads. Thereafter the Ferrari 250 GT Lusso from 1964 with 3 liters and 255 horsepower. Only 350 of them were made. From 1983 we have here the Ferrari GTB. It is just an 8-cylinder with 2.9 liters and 235 horsepower. The older, and perhaps the younger too, know the 308 from the series Magnum PI. Back to the 12 cylinders, a Ferrari 412 from 1985 with 4.9 liters and 300 horsepower. It was a family Ferrari with the engine in the front and 2 emergency seats in addition. And now the famous Testarossa with its electrifying design. 12 cylinders, 4.9 liters, 390 horsepower. This one is from 1988. And in closing, the second 8-cylinder, the Ferrari F40 from 1989, with 2.9 liters and 478 horsepower. It was created for the occasion of the 40th anniversary of the company's establishment, and already from its introduction it is a legend. From Lamborghini, they have got the 350 GT from 1964, with a 12-cylinder, like the other here displayed Lamborghinis, apart from Huracan, 4 liters and 322 horsepower. This particular car is the very first sports car from Lamborghini. It is in its original state, including tires from 1964. And this is a breakthrough car, the Miura. It is admired by car enthusiasts up to now. In this case, it is the model P400S from 1970, with 3.9 liters and 370 horsepower. Then we have got the Huracan P300 from 1978 here. It has an 8-cylinder, 3 liters and 265 horsepower. It was the result of the effort to offer a cheaper, perhaps we could say cost-saving car. In a display of Lamborghinis, there must not be missing the Countach, a car which deeply moved all admirers of beautiful cars. This is the model LP500S from 1986, with 4.8 liters and 455 horsepower. Here is the Deep Blue Devil, Diablo VT Roadster from 1998. It has got 5.7 liters and 530 horsepower. They have got here even the LM002 from 1987 with 5.2 liters and 450 horsepower. It was developed for Arabian sheikhs and only 200 vehicles were built. Before we go to the Alfa Romeos, we will have a look at the De Tomaso Pantera GTS from 1984. It has a V8 Ford with 5.7 liters and 300 horsepower. This one has widened fenders, wider tires and a rear spoiler. Here is a thematic exhibition, the Myth Alfa Romeo, which was planned to be on until the 19th of September 2020. We will look at the more interesting ones. Alfa Romeo 8C Zagato from 1933 with 8 cylinders, 2.3 liters and 142 horsepower. It was not constructed by Alfa Romeo but by different bodywork companies according to the wishes of the customers. The Alfa Romeo 1900 C553 from 1952 was a small series experimental car for aerodynamic tests. It has got a straight 4 engine with 2 liters and 158 horsepower. The Alfa Romeo SE 048 SP from 1990 was a secret prototype made from carbon fiber and Kevlar composite. And we come back to the designation 8C, in this case 8C Competizione from 2011. This car has 8 cylinders, 4.7 liters and 450 horsepower. We will have a look at the Lancia Stratos from 1976 with 6 cylinders, 2.4 liters and 280 horsepower, which was a part of the racing successes of the brand. And we will continue to other cars. There are lots of them, so we will look only at the more interesting ones. Of course, the Volkswagen Beetle cannot be missing. Here we have a modified one from 1969. It has got a 4-cylinder engine Porsche with 187 horsepower, and one can swing away the front electrically. Another Beetle, this time a convertible from 1979. It has 1.6 liters and 54 horsepower. Next to it there is another people's car, the Trabant P50 from 1959. It has 0.6 liters and 18 horsepower. The name means lackey or minion or a satellite as well, thus something which orbits. And when we are at the people's cars, we will look at two 1-cylinder Isettas from 1959. BMW introduced them as a means of local transport which combined the amenity of a car with low running costs of a motorcycle. This one has 0.245 liters and 12 horsepower, and the other one has 0.295 liters and 13 horsepower. A DKW, a part of the Auto Union, is here too, made after the takeover by the Volkswagen Group, which stopped to use the brand DKW. This is the model F93 from 1957 with 0.9 liters and 39 horsepower. This is the Lotus Super 7 from 1957. It has 4 cylinders, 0.948 liters and 37 horsepower. It is a kit car and was often equipped with Ford engines. And here is the Lotus Elan S2 from 1966. It has 4 cylinders, 1.6 liters and 115 horsepower. The car was small, light, fast, not too pricey, and had good handling characteristics. There is the Renault 5 Turbo with 1.4 liters and 160 horsepower. Notice the broadened fenders. Here we have the Porsche 356A Speedster from 1955. It had 1.6 liters and 60 horsepower. Going on, we will look at the Porsche 924 from 1984 with 2 liters and 125 horsepower. It was the first car from Porsche with a water-cooled engine in the front and the transaxle conception, with the transmission in the rear. There is the Porsche 911 Carrera RSR from 1994 as well. It has 3.8 liters and 370 horsepower. It was adjusted for the racing driver Jochen Rohr. We will pay attention to Porsche in a separate video from the Porsche Museum in Zuffenhausen. This is an interesting car, the Amphicar from 1964, constructed by Hans Trippel. It has got an engine from the Triumph Herald with 1.1 liters and 38 horsepower. The engine powered the rear wheels on the road and 2 propellers in water. It was even used to cross the English Channel in 1962. Now we can see the second oldest Audi in the world. It is the Type E from 1913. It has a 4-cylinder engine with 3.5 liters and 55 horsepower. We cannot skip this beautiful Jaguar E-Roadster from 1963. It has the straight 6-cylinder, 3.8 liters and 270 horsepower. There is the Morgan 3-wheeler Supersport from 1935 as well. It is propelled by a V2 motorcycle engine with 1 liter and 40 horsepower. This white car, the first from left, is the Peugeot Vis-a-Vis from 1898. It has a V2 with 1 liter and 2.5 horsepower. It was one of the first French cars. It is interesting that the passengers were sitting opposite each other, which is the meaning of the model's name. Now we will look at Bugattis. Type 30 from 1926 has a straight 6 engine with 2 liters and 75 horsepower. Here we have got 4 of them in a row. The first one is the Type 57 from 1938, an 8-cylinder with 3.3 liters and 135 horsepower. Next to it there is the Type 35C, an 8-cylinder too from 1930 with 2 liters and 125 horsepower. Between the Bugattis there is the Amilcar CC from 1922, which has a 4-cylinder with 0.9 liters and 30 horsepower. It was a cheaper, simpler, wannabe sports car. Then Bugatti stands here, Type 37 from 1926. It has a 4-cylinder with 1.5 liters and 100 horsepower. The last one is the Type 57 1.2 from 1935 with an 8-cylinder with 3.3 liters and 135 horsepower. Now we will have a look at 2 special expositions. Here we have, first from left, one of the most famous Bentleys, Old Mother Gun from 1927 with 8 liters and 340 horsepower. Next to it there is the Ford Model T Speedster from 1912 with 4 cylinders with 2.9 liters and 20 horsepower. Behind it the Opel Admiral from 1939 stands. It has a 6-cylinder with 3.6 liters and 75 horsepower. Next to it another Ford Model T Speedster. In front of it we can see the special racing car made by Maybach from 1920 with a 6-cylinder, 23 liters and 300 horsepower. And at the end there is the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL from 1955 with 3 liters with 215 horsepower. First, the Brutus, a 12-cylinder BMW aircraft engine from the First World War with nearly 47 liters, was mounted on a chassis with the chain drive. Behind it the Packard Bentley Mavis stands. It has 42 liters and 1500 horsepower. The chassis is from an 8-liter Bentley and the engine is a 12-cylinder Packard Torpedo. Well, this is an extreme even for our producer. A separate chapter is represented by this rocket-propelled vehicle, the Blue Flame. It weighs just under 3 tons, and on the 23rd of October 1970 the driver, Gary Gebelich, reached the speed of 1014 km per hour in Utah. Here we have the motorbikes. I have a soft spot for them. After all, it is the reason why I drive a convertible, because I have nowhere to park a motorbike. So I enjoy the wind in the hair, at least in a car without a roof. We will have a look at some American ones only. We will deal with motorbikes more at the museum in Speyer. This is the Indian Scout 37 from 1928. It has 0.6 liters and 18 horsepower. This particular machine was modified into a wall of death bike. Here is the Indian Scout 45 from 1930 with 0.75 liters and 12 horsepower. Behind it there is the Indian Chief from 1948 with 1.2 liters and 40 horsepower. One more, we will have a look at the Indian Sports Scout from 1941 with 0.745 liters and 25 horsepower. And in closing, one Harley-Davidson Sportster from 2012 with 0.883 liters and 69 horsepower. And the tractors. We will start with a Lamborghini. It is a Vineyard tractor C553 produced between 1968 and 1970. It has 2.7 liters and 53 horsepower. Then we will look at Porsche. There is the Porsche Diesel Unior 108 from 1958. It has only 1 cylinder, with 0.822 liters and 14 horsepower. Next to it, there is the same type from 1959. Then we can look at the McCormick Dring from 1920. It has 4 cylinders, 6.1 liters and 32 horsepower. There are lots of other tractors and other utility vehicles, but we will skip them. We will just stop at the bulldozer Caterpillar D9 from 1956. It has a turbine diesel 6-cylinder with 24 liters and 286 horsepower. It weighs 25 tons. We are on airplanes. First, we will have a look at the glider Rhönlerche 2. Rhön is a mountain range in southern Germany. Lerche is Lark. Now we have a real delicacy for all machine lovers on the plate. The Concorde. It flew at a height of 18,000 meters. The top speed was 2.23 Mach, 2,405 kilometers per hour. It was the only supersonic aircraft in the world in a regular service. It was mainly used for the flights to New York, and it took 3.5 hours. Well, German humor. A passenger on the toilet. We continue with another delicacy, the Tupolev Tu-144. It flew at a height of 18,000 meters. The top speed was 2.15 Mach, 2,285 kilometers per hour. It was the first passenger aircraft in the world that reached supersonic speed. The aircraft, which sort of falls from the roof, is the Czechoslovak training airplane Aero L-39 Albatros. I think that I would be correct in assuming that the Germans wanted to insinuate something. We will have a look at the Canadair CL-215, which was used for 30 years in order to fight forest fires, mainly in the Mediterranean area. It could take 5,445 liters of water. We limited the machine seeing. The Formula One cars are in a world of its own, which we are not interested in. There is the largest Formula One collection in Europe. The steam engines are for enthusiasts. Here is one of them from 1939, made by Henschel & Sohn. It has 2,500 horsepower and the top speed was 80 kilometers per hour. The bicycles are for cyclists. Our cameraman has got the same attitude towards them as has Jeremy Clarkson, but he made a few takes. It is the Jockel's collection of racing bicycles. The collector Joachim Faulhaber, with the nickname Jockel, was collecting them for 35 years. Thanks for watching and see you next time.